right, we are live. Give it a little bit and see if someone comes on. If you're watching after the fact, I'm going to tune my piano. If you want to come on and watch, then you can do that. What are some of these other things you can do? What's that? Retouch? I don't know what that means. What's that? Oh, green screen. I don't have a screen to do that with. Nope. Turn that off. Go away. Okay. What is this? Is this flip the camera? It is flip the camera. How about that? Okay. That'll do. Alrighty. Well, I see one person, so welcome. I'm going to tune my piano. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and feel free to ask questions as you want to, but I'm going to begin by opening her up. This is a Yamaha 460, M460 in black cherry, BC. At least I assume that's what the BC means black cherry. It's been a while since I've tuned this piano. I could tell you exactly how long, but I have that information on my phone and I'm using it right now, so I can't tell you that info. And really, I don't think it sounds that terribly far out. There's a mute strip in here that I need to get rid of, or not get rid of, but pull out. Oh. That way I can get my mutes in there. So since it doesn't sound that bad, I mean, I guess we'll see once I get my tuner on it. It's taking a look. Come on, get off there. Here. I guess we'll see exactly how far off it was one way or the other. Oh, how about that? Hugh Mad Bro. Has anyone really been far, even has decided to use, even go want to look more? I don't know what that is. Make sense of your sentence. Sorry, man. Griselle Jocelyn Rufino Camacho. Hello. How are we doing? Oh, wow. There's like 10 people watching. Okay. I will say, if you're watching me because you subscribe because I'm not Matthew McConaughey. I just need to say that right off, and I hope that doesn't bother people. But if you want to ask about that, I guess you can. It's a little funny story, but not that much. Let's see. Have you been far? Sorry, man. I'm not sure if your Google translation is working very well because I'm not entirely sure what you're asking. Keep trying, though. All right. So, for tuning, well, okay, let's take a listen first and just kind of see how it sounds. I'm just going to do some, oh, right, I took out the middle thing. All right, so let's just take a listen first. Okay, yeah, so it's ready. I'm hearing like some, you can hear some wobbling in there. A little more wobbling. That one you can really hear. So piano tuning is going to do a couple things. One, it's going to make sure that the pitch overall is up or down where it needs to be. It is not unusual. It's not unusual. It's not unusual for the notes to just gradually slide one way or the other, higher or lower. It's typical for it to go. By the way, if I'm like being really choppy, just let me know because then I can like say stuff over if I need to. Um, it's not unusual during the winter when things really dry out for the piano to shift low and go flat. And then during the summer, when it's really humid, it's also typical for the piano to raise sharp. And then you got to pull things back into place. And I will be the first to admit that I am not a registered piano technician, but I think I do it well enough for people to be happy. Um, I've used a couple of different tuning devices, electronic tuning devices. One of them that I started using last year was the Cyber Tuner by Rayburn. And I'm happy with how that works. A piano technician friend of mine who builds piano has been in the business for like 50, 60 years. That's the thing that I like the best. I've used a lot the Sanderson AccuTuner for a long time, and I thought it did well for me as well. But I'm happy with how this is. So, I just need to, I don't know if I've actually tuned this piano with this thing before. I need to see if I have a file on this one, or else I need to make a file. No, I think I do. So, alright, so I'm going to need to make a file on this thing. Let's see. Oops. Okay. Alright, and we go to what they call the chameleon, which is where the piano listens to stuff. Okay, now I got like 5 people watching me. That's okay. Feel free to come and go as you want. All right, now I'm going to take a listen, which means I can't talk at this moment. Okay, this piano has low bass inharmonicity. That's great. All right, so here you can take a look and see how this, does that even read right, or is that all backwards to you? I can't tell. It's probably backwards. So it's pretty close. It's registering at A438, so that's like not quite, probably 8 cents flat-ish or so. So yeah, it's low enough that it'll probably need a couple rounds. But this is also a relatively young piano, so the the pins are gripping pretty tightly. So let me sneak you around here, and you can see a little bit of what I'm going to do. All right. So I'm going to just kind of start getting at it. Oh, I gotta type in a couple more things here. So I'm just gonna start getting at it. I'm gonna usually start here at the tenor, and then I work my way up. And I usually don't even worry about the bass until the last time because the bass stays pretty close like the first time because there's not so many pins, so it's not so much tug of war. And you might actually be a piano technician who's saying, yeah, you might correct me on some things, and that's fine. But but yeah, usually this side needs a couple times. You got to get it close to where it's supposed to be first, and then you can really start fine tuning. But the tuning pins are pretty tough in here, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so piano make and model. This is a Yamaha console M460 BC Black Cherry. Put in the serial number here. It would be kind of neat to see. I don't think it does. But it'd be kind of neat to see if you plug in all that stuff, like the serial number and the make and model and stuff like that. There's like this database that shows like where all the different pianos have gone from like where they were when they were made, where they were, and then like where they are now. And if there's like records of when it was sold, it would just be neat to see like a database of that. But of course, that would be kind of a lot of like privacy invasion and a lot of data harvesting. But in the old days, that may or may not have been such a bad thing. But now we're kind of don't like that. All right, so I'm going to use the Smart Tune function here. Ooh, question. Okay, I'll get back to you. I'm going to use the Smart Tune here. I just got to do a couple things. There is no second treble strut note because this is not a grand piano. But this strut here is at E, E5, so I got to put that in. The lowest tenor trichord is F, F3. But the lowest tenor note is E flat or D sharp 3. Okay. And we're going to start new tuning. So like I said, I'm going to pick it up at, well, I guess I can pick it up at D sharp here. And I'm just going to pitch raise it here. Let's see. Brandon, evening. When are you going to start doing lightsaber lessons again soon? Because now I'm back in a dorm, school, room, and I have my lightsaber collection. Oh, you brought your lightsabers to school. That's cool. Of all the lightsabers I've collected. I have 3 more episodes of the lightsaber class, and I just kind of I'll spread it out a little bit to kind of force you to stay tuned a little bit. But it'll be out. I've got 3 more to release for that. The first one that I have, well, is lesson 3. That'll be on defense. And then the 4th one will be on attack, and then the 5th one will be on counterattacks and feints. And it's been a while since I've watched through it, so I'll probably watch it through again for myself. But yeah, so I've got some stuff coming up. Welcome, glad you're here. All right. So a lot of this, if you're just joining, is like anywhere from 12 to 8 cents flat, which is enough for me to have to probably go through it all and then come back for a fine tuning, which you should anyway. It's usually not going to be a one and done tuning unless it's one that you're like touching it up a little because you've already been there for a bit. But here we go. And I'm sure some of my technique is probably not entirely kosher, but it's okay. It's my own piano. Oops. Yeah, these tuning pins are tight. I rate tuning pin. I rate tuning pin tightness on a scale of 1 to 5. 3 being like it's not too hard to move it, but it's not so weak that it just feels flimsy. So 3 is like kind of a perfect for me. This is like a 4. Or even 4.5, I don't know. Can you hear wah 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 wah? That's how far away it was.
get it absolutely perfect, 0 on, because I'm going to do a second round, but enough to be close enough. Oops. Hang on. What are you doing? So with the Smart Tune, what it does is it has you pull a little bit farther than where it actually is going to be because it's going to settle. So over pull. But for as tight as these tuning pins are, I don't really feel like I need to over pull a ton. Plus, it's not so far that I don't need to anyway. I'm down to 2 people. Hi.
I just want to say I really loved your sonic piano cover. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. I enjoy doing that a lot. Is it like the... Where's my pedal? Like that one. That was a long time ago. I actually came up with that while I was tuning piano. What note am I on? As I'm talking, it's throwing off my thing and making me think I'm doing a different note. But yeah, that sonic cover of the special stages, or the one special stage from Sonic 1. When I would tune a piano, I would not talk and tune at the same time. When I was tuning a piano, I would try to think of what are some songs that I can play for the client, so that way when I'm done with it, I can play some stuff and it sound really nice. And I always liked that special stage tune. Well, okay, I don't know if I always liked it, but it was very interesting. I even remember when I was younger, I actually grew up playing Sonic 2 first, because that was the one that was packaged in our Sega Genesis. When my mom and dad got that for my brother and I back in 92, maybe 93. And so I didn't play Sonic 1 until actually afterward. And it seemed a lot harder. You know, because there's no spin dash in Sonic 1. At least in the original release. Now in all the re-releases, you have the option to have the spin dash on there, which makes it fun too. But it was always a very interesting sound when I first heard that, and the special stage is hard too. Because you know, the whole thing is turning, and you got to jump around a lot. And so Sonic 1 is definitely, I think, harder than Sonic 2. To me, I think it is. It took me forever to get through the Death Egg at the end. I remember one night I had gotten there, and I worked my way through the whole thing. And I got there, the Death Egg boss. I think I had. I think I had like 14 lives. I was like 7 or 8 or whatever. I had like 14 lives, or I had like 10 continues. Lost them all. It was a frustrating night. I didn't rage quit though. You know, like throw your controller and break stuff. You know, because we didn't break. I don't remember people breaking things when we couldn't beat games. But I do remember not wanting to try again when I had that final game over. But anyway, we were talking about the special stage. But yeah, the special stage just had really interesting sound to it, just with the voices that it uses. But I was playing around with it and when I was tuning pianos or whatever, and it's like, oh, I can do it in the middle octave, I can do it up higher, way up higher. And it was in C major. I had a selection of songs that, some favorite songs that I had learned on the piano that were in different key signatures so that I could play different songs when I was done tuning the piano. So I could, they could hear that it sounded good, and I could hear if the different key signatures were sounding good. This is just kind of nice for me. It's like my own little reward, Because I often, I say I don't have a lot of time to practice for myself. That's not true. If I wanted to, I can make the time to practice, really. But I'll just say, and I hope, and I think you guys know what I mean, I don't have a lot of time to practice just with the things that I have, the things that I do. And that's fine. Well, that one's pretty close. If you don't have to do something with it, then don't do anything with it. So tuning or playing the songs after I tune a piano, it's just a nice treat for me. Yeah, it's a nice treat for them too, because they get to hear their piano all nice and neatly tuned up. I actually made two covers of that special stage. I did one that was in minor, which was actually kind of just an experiment, because I think I was doing it. I do teach. I do teach piano where I live, and I was kind of like, I wonder what happens if you like do in minor. So I was like, wait. Oh, that's a little yucky because I'm like half tune and I'm half not. Hang on. Makes it sound like a good honky tonk. Sounds a little honky tonk because I'm like half tune and I'm half not, so I might not be able to actually play stuff anymore. Let's see. Make other Luke Skywalker vlog. We all missed that. Don't worry. I've told others. There's a couple more coming. I've got a couple more things going on with that. All right. Keep going. Kind of imagine myself as Luke Skywalker, and just because in my circle of friends or amongst my acquaintances, my schoolmates, I was the guy who liked Star Wars, and I always thought I looked a little bit like Mark Hamill, not a ton. I have a different facial shape than he does. But yeah, I was kind of the guy who knew the most about Star Wars, so I kind of was like Luke Skywalker to my friends and my schoolmates, my classmates. I was the one always asking my friends, hey, you want to play with lightsabers? Because we had the toy ones. If you watch lesson 1 of my my lightsaber Shi-Cho class, where I talked about different types of lightsabers, the toy one that I showed It was actually the second one of those. The first one that I had, the blade would break. You know, the blade broke eventually, and so I just kind of like cut off the plastic part of the blade and just kept the hilt. And I had like a shelf of broken lightsaber hilts, or not hilts, just of hilts where the lightsaber blade had been broken off. So I just cut them all off, and they were just shelf queens after that. Then, not that they're very queenly, but still they're shelf display items. I had, of course, a Luke one. I had, well, let's see. I had Qui-Gon's, which was one of my favorite. If I could get more lightsabers, which isn't always in our budget, or in my budget, I mean, if I could get more lightsabers, I'd love to get a Qui-Gon one. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi's, his first one, so like Attack of the Clones or Phantom Menace. I had those two from, it was either Hasbro or Kenner who made those, I don't know. But those are two that I had for a long time. And I had them for so long, of course the blades broke, but I would hot glue them first to try to join the edges together, and then I would wrap it in a bunch of clear tape. So this would be kind of this little weird protrusion at like the second to last or third to last segment, telescoping segment, you know. But those lightsabers really served me well. I was happy with it for a long time. I also had Count Dooku's Attack of the Clones lightsaber. And that was interesting. I think the blade on that was a little shorter, actually, than the others. Slightly shorter, by like an inch or something. Oops. I also had, let's see, I had a couple more. One of them, they called it Mace Windu because I had a purple blade, but it actually wasn't his hilt. It was kind of more like Kit Fisto or, not Keanu Moody, his was different. But it was kind of like Kit Fisto's. There's several Jedi that have that real similar design. So it was that hilt. Oh, well actually no, I think it was Mace Windu's lightsaber from episode 1, because I think you see that one at the very end of Attack of the Clones, in the parade sequence, the victory parade. You can barely see, you can see his lightsaber as the camera pans down, and it's that same sort of shape or whatever. But so I had a Mace Windu lightsaber because it was purple. And then I had a Vader saber from episode 6. Because Vader's lightsaber is slightly different from episode to episode. And then I had Luke's Return of the Jedi saber, which was kind of my favorite. Oh, I think I had 2 more. No, 3 more. Toy ones. I had Yoda's from Attack of the Clones, which the blade was short, but the hilt was nearly the same size as most of the rest of them, for some reason. I'm not sure why it needed to be, although I never really opened up one of those hilts to see what the hilt was housing inside of it. But yeah, it would have been neat if the hilt was like small sized, but oh well. So I did have Yoda's Attack of the Clone one, and that was really close, but I'll just tweak it. I had a color changer with Anakin. It was episode 3, and it actually would have been really, it's almost like what they did for Ahsoka. Wait, is there anybody who's not seen Ahsoka? Because then I won't say that. Although maybe I kind of already, maybe potentially spoiled it, I don't know. But I had a Luke, an Anakin episode 3 saber. And it was really bright LED blue, but it could also it also had red LED, so I had blue and red LEDs, and it had good sound too. Because all the other ones up to that point just kind of had the same basic kind of sort of sound, or sort of sound. It was just this really garbly, low quality sort of thing, but it worked for us, you know. But that Anakin saber I had, and you know that was 2005 or 2005, if you want to say it that way. That saber had the nice sort of sound, or like that, and but it had a button so you could swap from red to blue, which is kind of neat because you know it's suitable kind of for episode 3, even though Anakin never actually uses a red saber. Although I do remember years ago, I mean years ago, like 15 plus years ago, and maybe other people have done it since. I'm sure it's probably easy for folks to do. Well, I don't know. At that point, the guy said that it was kind of a real painstaking process of taking Anakin's saber in Battle of the Heroes on Mustafar and changing it from blue to red, like all through that. I think the guy said that he had to do it like frame by frame, or he had to, maybe he could get the general process going, but then he had to go frame by frame and fix things, like if there was like the fog effect or steam effect or whatever. I don't know. But that was really interesting to see him do that. To see Anakin, or to see, yeah, Anakin fight Obi-Wan with a red saber. But that was a nice saber too. Anakin episode 3 saber. Oh, I had an episode 2 Anakin saber also, which was kind of like all the other old ones. The only other toy saber that I can remember off the top of my head having was a color. It was like a create your own lightsaber. So like a build your lightsaber kit, customized kit, sort of like Savvy's workshop. It had a body, like a thinner body, which kind of looked a bit more like Mace Windu's actually. Oh, that's what you could do. So yeah, it had a main shaft, which was kind of like Mace Windu's. But there were like caps and sleeves and pommels that you could attach to it, so you could customize it. And I think it came with Mace Windu and Count Dooku and maybe Count Dooku. Or like, oh no, Maris Brood, I think was one of them. Do you remember Maris Brood from Force Awakens? No, Force Unleashed. Where she had like that tonfa style, where she had that and she sort of held it out behind her and the blade sort of did this sort of thing, you know? Which sounds neat, and it seems like an interesting idea in concept, but I wonder how hard it would be to fight with that sort of thing and not like cut your own elbows off. So it was a color changing lightsaber, and it had a little spot for a chamber, a crystal chamber, and it gave you a blue, a red, and a green crystal, and they were shaped. They were shaped differently, and so the crystals would only fit in certain ones. And so then when you put when you put it in the one, it flipped a switch and made the saber play that color. And if you did all 3 of them, it was just white. And I think if you did none of them, it was random. I don't remember. I might be making that up. And so that gave you like 7 colors to play with, because you do red or green or blue if you just did those crystals by themselves. If you did red and green, it gave you yellow. If you did red and blue, it gave you magenta, purple. If you did blue and green, it gave you cyan, which is the one I went with usually, because it was brighter than both blue and green, so I like that. Just kind of that kind of Arctic blue cyan color. I know that's not quite in tune yet. Like I said before, I'm just kind of roughing it through here. just to get it up to pitch, and then I can tweak it finally. And then I kind of learned something about LEDs. Red LEDs are really weak. They don't have a lot of oomph to it. Not like blue ones. I'm sure there's a science to that, but so that's why I never used that Anakin episode 3 saber on red mode, just because it was so weak. I just never bothered with it. The blue was a lot stronger. So yeah, those are the different toy sabers that I've had. And most all of them got broken. I had a couple friends growing up that I would they were friends from church, and so I saw them on a weekly basis, but I didn't go to school with them. One of them was homeschooled, and one of them just was in another county, lived in different school system. So I only got to see him like once a week. But sometimes we would spend weekends at each other's houses, and one of them was 2 days older than me, and so we would spend our birthday weekend. We'd go to his house after school Friday, and then stay over till Saturday, and then Sunday we'd go to church together, and then switch over to my house. And sometimes at night we would do our lightsabers. Well, sometimes we would do it during the day too. So it was kind of fun at night, but we would also just kind of do them whenever. And the way we played it was almost kind of in Monty Python style, like the Black Knight. If you got touched on a limb, you couldn't use it. And I talk about that in my lightsaber class, so stay tuned and we'll do that. Well, okay, I mentioned it, really. I didn't say in my lightsaber class just pretend it's Monty Python, because that'd be silly. Very silly. Right, stop that. But yeah, if you lost or if you got touched in the limb, you lost that limb and you couldn't use it. And I remember you're just getting a lot of memories today, but that's okay. That's fun. You can share some of your lightsaber experiences if you've had any. So I lost both of my legs. I got one of his arms, my friend. I got one of his arms, but he got both my legs. I still have both my arms, but he got both my legs. And so I'm on my knees, okay? Because at first I was hobbling around, hopping around on one foot, which is funny. But it's definitely like the Black Knight from Monty Python. Right, I'll do you for that. You what? Come here. So I was on my knees, and he had his. And I did have, one more saber that I forgot to mention. A really cheap red one, double-ended red one. It was like XR Coon sized. Like, it was like a really small handle. And I think it might have locked in, so it just kind of looked like a black handle with a red button and then 2 red rectangles on the other end. And then you can like that, you could twist it and do that, and it would kind of like that. So that was kind of fun. But at some point, either it broke or we decided, you know what, this is too small to use as a double bladed, so let's just kind of break it in half and have 2 like this. And so I think somehow we broke it or modified it very badly. And so he had 2 of them that he could use, but they were also very short. They were like chateau length, okay? So it was kind of, you can use it, but you don't have a lot of reach. And so there I was on my knees outside in the grass, and he's kind of circling around me trying to figure out what to do. Now, we did have as a rule, you could throw your saber. Oh, one rule was no headshots. But we did allow you to throw your saber, but if you do, you can't get it back. Um, you disarm yourself. So it was kind of a risky last ditch move if you really weren't sure what it was. And so he threw it, and because I was down to my knees, it hit my head and split my. Which one? I think it's over here. It split my lip on whichever side of it, and just bopped me right there because it it hit on my against my tooth or whatever, and so it split my lip. So he won, sort of. He won, but it wasn't against the rules. But I was kind of like, okay, I'm dead now.
Let's see. Talon. Oh, wait. Did I miss someone? No, okay. All right, Talon, are you able to do an Anakin impression? I can try, but it's really hard. Star Wars Theory does a much better Anakin impression. She's just got the right voice right. I don't know. It's hard to do it. I was wondering if you could.
I can try. You will try. He doesn't have the. I don't know. I feel like the best way I could do it is if I'm just like quoting a movie, but then it's not. It's just kind of quoting a movie. I don't know. What's the scene that he's at? Don't worry. Now that the council has ordered an investigation, it won't take long to find this bounty hunter. Sometimes we must let go of our pride and do what is requested of us. Master Obi-Wan manages not to see it. Don't get me wrong, Obi-Wan is a great mentor. As wise as Master Yoda and as powerful as Master Windu. I am truly grateful to be his apprentice. I hope I don't get a copyright strike for this. In some ways, in a lot of ways, I'm really ahead of him. I'm ready for the trials. But he thinks I'm too unpredictable. He won't let me move on. It's worse. He's overly critical. He never listens. He doesn't understand. It's not fair. I don't know, that's about as close as I can get.
Just get Star Wars Theory has like the perfect one actually, because he has like
The voice to do it. And like when he does his like it, when he talks about whatever and he just quotes an Anakin, like he has the perfect Hayden Christensen Anakin voice. So that's good. I brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire. Yeah. Something like that. But my voice has more of a reedy quality, where it's kind of it's bright and nasal, if you will. So it can be hard to overcome that. You really have to, when you're trying to do voices, it's like sometimes you feel like you're swallowing your tongue.
In Count Dooku, the tongue is much farther back, and you feel like it's trying to go down your throat.
Something like that. James Arnold Taylor, he does Obi-Wan for, well, I don't know if he's doing it right now, but prolific voice actor. He can do all kinds of stuff. But he did Obi-Wan, of course, for Attack of the Clones. Oh yeah, he's got all kinds of voices that he can do. Like I think there's a video impressions of James Arnold Taylor or something like that, where he does like a whole bunch of different stuff. It's fun. I like doing voice. I like doing voices. I do. Oh, hang on.
You said something else. What is that? Christopher Lee was really impressive.
Impressive. Most impressive.
I know he doesn't say that. Sorry. I did a Christopher Lee video a while ago, like 2-3 years ago, something. I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, where I did Sauron and Count Dooku, because that's all I know him for. I never saw The Man with the Golden Gun, so I couldn't do Scaramanga, and I admittedly was too lazy to try to look it up to copy it. so I just went with what I knew. But if you want to go see that when I'm done, or just kind of bookmark it or whatever, then you can go find that. I have a playlist of. Oops. I have a playlist of voices that I've done, and I did Count Dooku for somebody. Can't remember who. Somebody asked me to do Count Dooku for a video of theirs that they did, and it was a live action video where they had their actors, and it was like Qui-Gon, like kind of a sort of younger Qui-Gon, and it was a fan fiction story. I think there were Mandalorians in it or something. But they had Count Dooku, and he was in a transmission, a holographic transmission, and so I had to voice over the actor watching him do it, and then voice over top of it. So that was kind of fun. I can only remember like a couple lines from it. Something like
Are there any loose ends?
something like that.
Bring the pieces to me. On Coruscant.
I don't know. Something like that. I don't remember anything of what it was really. But there was that, and that was fun. I've done it's not really my most recent project, but most recent in the sense of it being released. Doing Luke Skywalker for Darth Angelis, I guess. He's been doing over the last like 4 or 5 years. That's like dedication, man. He's been doing Heir to the Empire on his computer in computer graphics. Real, good quality stuff. And Matt Finish is the voice actor who's done a lot of work for him on that one, and he was doing, I think, Han. I think he did Lando, and I'm sure that he filled in with other spots. And he was doing Luke for like about half of, maybe more than half. And oops, hang on. Make sure I'm doing the right one. If you turn it and it doesn't do anything, you're on the wrong one. And Darth Angelis had seen my Luke Skywalker video, which is like an hour long or so, of me quoting Luke, almost all the Luke lines. I realized I missed a couple afterwards. Quoting Luke lines by memory, just through the different trilogies, just to do Luke, with the secret hope that maybe Disney or whoever would find it and say, hey, we've got our Luke actor. How about that? Because I always wanted to be Luke, I've always wanted to be Luke, portray Luke in some form or fashion, whether it was physically or, in the case of what I do on my channel, or officially, which would have been me. Although that kind of depends on what you think of Disney Star Wars, or by voice. And so I had the opportunity to do that for Heir to the Empire. So I joined in after halfway through. So like chapter, I don't know, like 21 maybe, is when I started doing that. So, and I was happy to do that. So you should definitely go check that out. Darth Angelis, Heir to the Empire. Right now he's remastering them all, so that way the earlier chapters look at the same quality as the more recent chapters, the special editions, right? All right, so that's that. Let me just check this here. Oops. Yes, and it actually pulled up a little sharp. I said before, these tuning pins are really thick, or not thick, they're tight. So just a little bit of overpull. It's remembering the overpull, so I'm gonna have to be careful on that one. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you, Talon, for your kind comment. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the fine tuning because it's close enough that I can do the fine tuning and it'll stay put. So, where's my screwdriver? This is a felt strip that I can use to push in between the strings so that way it mutes them, except for just the middle one. And then I listen to them one at a time. Usually this, depending on how close the piano already was, this round can actually go pretty quick if it's close enough to where it needs to be. I'm just kind of like, okay, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good, tweak that one, that's good. So that's the neat thing about the Smart Tune feature on here is that it does a really good job of getting it right about where it should be. And it saves you a lot of work of having to do an extra round of, because that was the one thing, the AccuTuner that I used to have, well, I have it, I just don't use it. But I keep it in case, something happens with this and I need something that will still do a pretty good job. With the AccuTuner, it just has a very simple digital display, but it's not like an app. And so, and it does have an overpull feature where it is an overpull feature, but I never really liked it or understood it fully. Maybe I just maybe I could have spent more time figuring out how it goes, but but with this one, it's just really built in, so it just makes it pretty simple. Okay. So at this point, I may be doing less talking and more listening, but again, since it's pretty close, it might not be so far off. So yeah, it's just a tad high. I gotta be careful with this because it's a little high, so now I gotta finagle with it, but not to the point that it gets so low again. And again, this is just kind of for my home, so if it's not absolutely perfect, it's not a big deal. That sounds okay to me. Do you still have your Graphics lightsaber? Yes, I do. I do. That was my Ultra Sabers Graphics that I got. And for those of you who haven't seen that reveal yet, I guess there's only 2 of you watching, and I think I know who one of you is besides the other. The reason I got that one was because that's about where I like that. I try to think Eye of the Tiger when I do that. I bet we'll get copyrighted for that one. That's just about where I like that. That's about perfect. The number of beats that you hear, wah 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 wah, like that. It says it's about right. Yeah, if I give it a little whack, it'll fall out of tune. So let me tweak it. That rumbling sound is this lid bouncing against the wall. So, yeah, okay. I'll just slip this back here to try to keep it from bouncing too much. There, that's better. But the reason I chose the graphics from Ultra Sabers is because it's not specifically one saber. Like, it's not the A New Hope, it's not the Empire Strikes Back, it's not the Force Awakens, it's not whatever. And so it's kind of an amalgamation of them all. And so it kind of gives the spirit and the essence of it. That plus, I think they had a sale going on at the time, so if I bought that and if I bought enough, oops. If I bought enough, then I would get like a bonus saber. So that's So there's a couple ways that you can listen in with the beats that you're hearing. You can listen by the thirds. The higher you go, then the slightly faster those beats should go. But you can also listen like in fifths, which should basically be perfect where you don't hear any of that wah wah sound. Um, so, or fourths, which are pretty close, but not exactly. Let's see. Do you know, Talon? Do you know a place where I can find an episode 3 Graphics by chance? They call those skinny flexes. At least that's what I've heard people describe them as, skinny flexes. I haven't been in the market for a saber. I mean, I've looked and drooled a little bit, but I've not been in the market for a saber. So, I don't know exactly. I would check Theory Sabers. I mean, he's kind of, it's Star Wars Theory. He has a saber shop and he does stuff. I'm guessing he's got one, or he can get. But they look a lot like the kind that you get from not Ultra Sabers, Saber Forge, because the Return of the Jedi saber looks a lot like the one I remember seeing on Saber Forge. Because I was debating between Vader's Vault and Saber Forge for an Episode 6 saber, my Return of the Jedi saber. The Prodigal Son was the model that they call that. Um, so I remember going between the two of those, and I don't know. I don't know if he's like getting it from Saber Forge or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making that up, or that's just not right at all. But yeah, check that. Carly King, I think, is a channel who does lightsabers, and I think that she's reviewed a bunch of different. I mean, it's several years old by now, I imagine, but she reviewed several different lightsaber companies, and like she graded them. But it does at least give you a list of like Corbanth. I know is a company. Um, Maybe Electrum Sabercrafts is another one. I'm just trying to come up with names that I vaguely remember off the top of my head. Um, but so yeah, you just kind of have to shop around a little bit. But I can't tell you exactly where to go with that. Where am I? So I did that. Oh, okay, I'm up here now. Did I do that? So that perfect fourth is just about perfect. But the fourths can have just a tiny little bit of wobble. If I get the fourths too perfect, then the note actually ends up being flat. So you kind of gotta be careful with that one. Whoops, hang on. I'm in the wrong octave. Yeah, nice. Okay, still just a 10. Too perfect. Can you hear the really fast beating of that? Okay, that's still a 10 too. Okay, still just a 10. Let's get it. You have to have a lot of patience for hearing the same note over and over again. Um, and then you just kind of whack it down into place gently. Pretty smooth progression, not too fast. Um, Oops. So you can kind of check. The fifth might sound perfect, but I think there's a little bit extra, like there's a larger sweet spot. But the fourth sweet spot is a little tighter. So you can check to see if the fifth sounds good, and then go up one note, the lower one, and see if the fourth sounds good. And if they both sound good, then it's probably all right. See, if fourth or the fifth sounds okay, fifth just got a little more wobble than I want it to, which is okay because it matches what my screen is going. Because here, watch what it does here. So you can see how it's turning that little bit, which means it's close. How far is that actually? Okay, that's like 1.5 cents off, is what it says. How do I get rid of that? Oh, reset. Okay. So it's close, but close enough to hear it off. Maybe too much. Like that. And then one more here. This sounds pretty good. So this middle area is what we call the temperament, and I'm almost done with that. The temperament is kind of where you build up your like foundational sounds, and then you can kind of work your way out from there. So I'm just going to finish the temperament with just a couple more notes here, and then good to check it against. Now what you could do is I could do that. Another check that you can do to hear if it's sounding good by octave is, now that's a third, that's supposed to have a wobble like that. Now listen to this octave above. That's almost identical. If anything, it's a little low. I mean, like the higher octave is a little slower, which matches what I'm hearing. That matches up here. It's a little slow. This might still be a little fast. You can hear those are two different speeds. Yeah, so that's too high. It's allowed to be a tiny bit high, but only like an essence of it being high. It's like flavored water. It's essenced. It's essence, not fully flavored. See, that's better. That's more exact. So that's all right. A is where I left it, which is good. You want your tuning to stay put when you're done with it. That's pretty close. I might just leave that. And again, this is for my home. If it's not absolutely perfect, I'm not gonna be too worried about it because it's already a lot better than it was. my ear when I'm trying to listen to it here, but I mean I do use this because it's there, but it's there to help me definitely guide in one direction or the other. But I ultimately have to use my ear to make sure that it's where I like it. Okay, so now I'm going to start taking this off and just have this be done. That's just the way that I do it. I just do the middle section, and then I'll start working my way up this way, and then I'll check down here. So, get that other side of it. And then I'll come down this way. And when you get down here, especially down into the bass, the perfect fifths, if those sound good, it's you know, that's to me. I've always been happy with that. With the using the fifths as a good enough check for that down there. Let me get this one. That weird attack is just because of where the mute is on here. I'll take that out here. That's good. Sinister, how you doing? Long time no hear. Of course, I kind of took a whole year off of YouTube, didn't I? Evening's going fine. Evening's going fine. Just tuning the piano. Been at it for an hour already. Typically, it takes me up to a couple hours. Doesn't have to take that long. It partially depends on how it goes. But I'm also usually not talking this much when I'm tuning a piano, so there's that. Oh, hang on. My voice is throwing off what pitch it says. I'll take that. Close enough. I'll take that. Also close enough. You want so what I'm doing now is I'm making the unisons, because a lot of these notes up here, especially from like this point on, F, all the way to the top, there's 3 strings. And so what I have here with the red mutes is that it's fluffing this one and this one, so that way they're not speaking, and then it's only the middle one that's speaking when you strike the key. And so I got all the middle strings of all of those, the middle ones of those. So now what I'm doing is I'm unmuting them one at a time, so I can get these 2 together, and then I can get all 3 of them together. And so I want them all to be at the same frequency, and so it's a unified sound. That's pretty good. I don't know if it's exactly concert level, but it's pretty good. Because you may not be able to get it absolutely perfect. It just depends on the piano, it depends on the string, depends on all kinds of stuff. I feel like piano technical work is almost like becoming a doctor. Because everything just keeps affecting one thing or the other after the other, and it's a daunting field. And not one that I would even call myself a novice in. Not piano technical work. And that would be things like repairing, regulating, which means getting all the parts to do what they need to do when they're supposed to do it. Voicing the piano, which would be like the strings, the strings, the hammers, and what goes into all of that. At this season of my life, I don't really have the time or the energy or even really the space to delve deeply into technical work. I like to practice my hand at it. And I don't just want to kind of go off and try it by myself, like read how to do it or watch a video on how to do it and then try on my own, because then I don't really have anyone to evaluate me to see if I'm doing it right. There is a piano technician who lives not far from me, and I've gone to his shop and seen him doing stuff as he has pianos taken apart and doing stuff to it. And I've helped him out with some things, whether it's just giving him some extra muscle, not that I have a ton, or whatever. Or he just wants me to come and look and see if I learn anything. But there's a lot of interconnectedness in piano technical work. So Sinister, what's up with you? Anything going on? How was your year? And I guess if whoever else is watching, how many do I have? I got 6 right now. I have to squint to try to see it. If any of you feel like sharing how your year was, or your holidays, you can feel free to share that if you'd like. There, that's better. Like I said, you have to have a lot of tolerance for hearing the same sounds over and over again. I've tuned for some folks and they find it kind of soothing. They'll just sit in their big armchair or their lazy boy and they'll just sit and listen. And hear the different sounds coalesce into, hopefully, one. Sometimes you come across some strings where it won't render correctly because maybe there's an imperfection in the string, or it's just aged, or there's a little bit of a, let's see if I can clean it up. That's okay, I'll take that. It's what's called a false beat, where it's just a single string, and it's not a second one beside it that's vibrating against it, or beating against it, but it's just a single string, and it's a single string that has its own beat. which it shouldn't. If it does, that's called a false beat, and those are just really hard to deal with. I mean, you just got to try to find a way to make the strings cancel each other out. You just got to do the best you can. Sometimes you get those on, well, I guess it could happen on any piano, but I suppose you'll more typically find that on older pianos, maybe smaller pianos, what we call spinets, where they're just shorter. But like I said, sometimes you have to over pull so that way it'll settle back into position. Sometimes you have to like under pull, or you have to like over push so that way it'll fall back into position. Because like I said, the tuning pins here is tight. These guys are tight. And so when I did the first round with a little bit of over pull, it stayed there stronger than, you know. I wonder if that's a feature in here. I feel like that should be a feature, is that you can, and maybe it is, and I just don't know it, where you can affect, well, okay, I think you probably can affect like the over pull percentage, and that would be your way of doing it. So if you know that the tuning pins are tough, then you can adjust the over pull to not be so aggressive. You know, if you're really so super concerned about, you know, making it stop right where it wants to be. Instead of using your instincts on it. It's kind of like bow and arrows, archery. You can have those really neat bows that have all the sights and the stuff. And the thing where you do that and you have a little pull tab or whatever it is, a little button, you do that. It does a lot of the work for you. Or you can just use your own eyesight. What we call instinctive. I've done some archery. It's fun. I wouldn't say I'm great. Just a novice. I've done some of it. It's fun. I learned that I maybe don't have much pull weight, arm strength for pull weight, because the instructor, he was in charge there. He gave me a longbow to, not gave, he handed me a longbow to try that. And I tried it. I couldn't even hardly get it, like, this is like as far back as I could, you know, my arm's like all stretched out. This is like as close as I could get. I couldn't even get it to my face because the pole weight was, it was so, you had to be so strong to do that. It was like a 60-pound pole weight or something. It's like, my goodness, you gotta be built to do that. And I'm not. But it sure did have a ton of power. Even with what little I could do. And boy, it hurt my fingers. Man. Really, I had to like take my sleeve and like do this so that way I could just get it to go. But man, I would need like those archery gloves to protect my fingers on that. I didn't watch any of the Olympics, but I remember seeing the story of that one guy. Is he from Turkey? He just showed up with a pistol and just, you know, everybody else has all these fancy things, and he shows up and like that, and he places. I don't remember what he got, but and he gets a medal or whatever for just being instinctive instead of using all the doohickeys and thingamabobs and whatever. So here's the thing that's tricky about it. You've got the pin, but it goes back. It's like actually about as long as your finger, really, and you only see like this much of it, or you see this much of it, whatever. So you're turning the thing, and yeah, the top of it turns. But you know how you can turn the top of your finger without actually moving your hand? You need to turn it so that way it actually turns your hand. And so when you see me kind of like that, I'm trying to get it to like that, but in the most minute way possible, so that way I can get it where it needs to go. So when it's really close like that, and you just hear the little bit of wobbling, but the tuning pins are tight, it makes it more of a challenge. It's just tougher to do that because you don't want to bring it out so far that you have to fight to put it back in. But if you just do a little like this, all you're doing is just twisting the top of it, but not actually turning the pin in here. So that means it could whack that out of place and do that. I'm happy with that. Let me do this. Let me check the other string and see if. See, the other one that I went to kind of got beat out of place, so we reset that one. Now that's better. Now let me mute off this other one I was just pounding on. Okay, so that's cleaner. Here you go. Okay, I already did that side, so. Okay. That was the midsection. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and work on the rest of this here. Now, I've actually given thought to, well, I think I will. I've given thought to doing another video like this, tuning, but just not live. So I wouldn't be talking with anybody. So, because I have a grand piano that is in more need of tuning than this one is. So what I would do is wonder why that's not muting. Come on. Okay, that'll do. All right. I'll do is I'll tune that one, but without talking. I'll just do it. I just thought that maybe doing something live might be fun for a change. You can chat with me as you want to. Or I can just ramble on whatever. I'm a pretty good rambler. Just give me a topic and some time, and, well, maybe not any topic, but given the right topic and enough time, I can ramble for a long time. Maybe to the point of being nauseating about it. I've spoken in church before when our pastor is gone or something, if they know that they're going to be gone for a week. I've given some messages at church before. And it's hard because, well, okay, the thing that's probably hardest about it is getting it down to a manageable size. Because if I know what topic it is, what topic or what passage or whatever of scripture that I'm going to talk about, well, usually more if it's topical, because I think I end up doing more topical stuff. Not that I don't do a whole lot, but I have. If I do topical things, then I'll find all kinds of references that seem to make sense to it or talk to that effect. And then I'll take and just do like rabbit trails. And I've got all kinds of different little different facets of understanding that topic, or little side trails or whatever. And then it gets to be kind of a lot for a sermon, to the point where I can kind of go over time if I'm not careful. So that's kind of the challenge for me, is not overdoing it on time. And even if I just have it like in outline form, because a lot of times I just have my notes in outline form, and even if I'm just reading off my outline form without taking time to expound on things, it can still take a while. I mean, maybe not as long as a Puritan church service 300 years ago. Notch that down just a tad. Yeah, just a tad, because it's really close. Whoops. I gotta finish that.
How many do I have with me? I've got 6 with me.
The faithful few. I hope I'm entertaining you with my ramblings. Although it can get really annoying up in this high section. Just because I gotta keep bang, 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 whacking it like that. Mainly because the sound is so short. Up on the high side, the strings are so short. Just imagine a harp. In a harp, at the far side, the strings are really, really long, and so they have a deep sound. They're long and they're thicker. And then as you get closer up to your face, the strings are thinner and shorter. And so the sounds are much higher, but that also means that the sounds are much shorter because those short strings can't hold the vibration energy for that moment. So the higher up you go, the more you got to whack the key to keep hearing the sound you're working on. Oh, wrong one. I've heard some people ask, does it matter if you have perfect pitch to tune pianos? And the answer is no. That's a different function of listening than perfect pitch. Perfect pitch is really just like it's being able to I mean, simply said, it's being able to tell what note is being played or sung without looking. Or kind of having the basic frequencies memorized. And if everything is in tune, then it shouldn't be that much of a problem. It's like being able to tell which shades of red you're talking about. Like maybe you've got like 4 or 5 different shades of red, like blazer red or fire engine red or chili pepper red or classic car red. Or just plain red. Or maybe red orange. So, or cherry red, strawberry red, you know. There's all these different little variations of red. Now, if someone had a really good sense of sight and discerning, you know, like interior decorators, if they had a really good discernment about shades of color like that would kind of be like what perfect pitch is for musicians, to a degree. So it's not just saying, you know, this is high, this is low. You know, it's more than that. It's actually being able to tell what note you're playing. Now, if you have what's called relative pitch, then you get real close. You know, you might be off by like a half step or something like that, like one little key. And that's still really accurate. But perfect pitch would be able to tell what key you're playing. But for piano tuning, it's almost like a completely different. You know how like there's math and there's like math? It's kind of like there's pitch and then there's pitch, you know? There's having a sense of pitch and then there's tuning. And tuning concepts, it's just a different way of thinking about pitch. And yes, it's based on the absolute of A440, of that pitch having to be exactly there. And maybe if you're really good, you can memorize that particular sound and if it's higher or low. But you're dealing with sense of sound, like the tiniest little bit. It's like on a computer where you have like the gradient square, like you want to pick a color. It's like all white on top and kind of grayish on bottom, and you have the light and dark slider, and you've got that whole thing that you can do with it. Having perfect pitch means being able to tell to the number, like the hexadecimal number or whatever, of exactly, like for instance, like a full bright cyan would be like 255 of green and blue. That would be like complete cyan. But piano tuning would be like you need this particular shade of cyan that's like 250, like only 250 green and 217 blue and 5 red. That would be like piano tuning, where it's just to that exacting degree. But part of what you're doing is you're just kind of listening to the piano itself, and you're trying to get some things perfectly sounding, where they don't beat against each other, like the unison, which is what I'm doing here. And at this high up, you're not even trying to judge it, but in tuning, you judge it against other notes too. So some notes need to have no beats at all, or some pairs of notes need to have no beat at all. Like octaves should have next to like no beat or next to no beat. But other intervals like thirds and sixes, those should have beats, but in different rates. And the idea is that you listen to those rates and you adjust the pitch so that any combination of notes will be pleasant in its own right. Now, it wasn't until equal temperament was made. Temperament means how far off of pure the notes are rendered. So it wasn't until equal temperament that you were able to play a piano. You could play any song in any key at any time, and it would all sound fine. Before then, a piano would be tuned to this letter or that letter, and you could only play a song in that. I think this is how it goes. You could only play a song in that key or something that's closely related to it, that share a lot of common notes. But if you get too far away, then it starts sounding pretty ugly. But if you play in the key that it's tuned for, oh boy, does it sound pure and good. It sounds so weird to hear something played in that exact tuning. But we've been so used to equal temperament for what, centuries now? Couple centuries, that we don't even give it a second thought. So that even though there's dissonances like this, that whine sound, let me do something that's more tuned. Even though you hear that, we don't consider that bad. And that being pretty well pure, and that also being pretty well pure, and that also being pretty well pure. So the perfect intervals are more pure, and the thirds and the sixes have their, you know, their dissonances. Even you can hear the really fast, the hitting of beats against each other. But that doesn't strike us as being, I mean, it's dissonant, but not so bad. That's pretty fast beats, but not so bad to be like bad. You know, all these different intervals. We're used to those beats being there. And so it's fine for us. And that's typically what people will tune for, is equal temperament. Unless you're like doing a historical performance and then you want the old form of tuning. Which would be interesting to try that, because I'm pretty sure we can do that. Like it has it stored how you would do that. Be interesting to try, except, you know, that's a whole 2 hours just to try and say, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, and then you got to put it back. It's a little high. Let's try to get the unisons cleaned up. Mostly cleaned up. Those last ones, if they sound good enough, then it's good enough. Alrighty, now I'm going to come down here to the bass area. Work on that. And this should probably be really, really close. So I don't hardly have to do much anything with this, and then that'll probably be good enough. That was a little low. That key gets used more than the others. If you're turning it and it's not doing anything, you're on the wrong one. That's the one I was doing. Probably the number one way to get your strings broke. Cranking the wrong one. Oh, mute it. It's almost like the THX sound when it finally coalesces and it gets pure. Not exactly, because the THX sound isn't, it's not about beat dissonances, it's just kind of everything, because there's no vibrato or anything, it's just all it does that. If you haven't already, give me a like or subscribe. watching this after the fact, I hope you've enjoyed this. I still got a few minutes left, hang on. Then I can occupy your Sunday evening with some of my memories and chatter, ramblings. I have other video ideas and topics that I'd like to do. One of them, as I said earlier, I have a grand piano that I'm also going to tune. It needs more tuning than this one really did. I mean, this was ready anyway. But I'm going to make that just a tuning video, not a live stream. No talking, just tuning. Also, I have some things. I have a Lego Boba Fett helmet that I got a couple Christmases ago, and come on. I feel like I just keep missing it. If I get the high wobbles going, and then I feel like I start to actually get out of tune. Well, I might just take that. If any of you are watching and you're an actual piano technician or tuner, be gentle with me. Goodness. It's better. Sometimes you just gotta do your best. Do your best and let God do the rest.
other tunes. Also thought of, well, not thought of, kind of want to, just haven't gotten to it. Recording the songs I mentioned, covers of the different songs that I play when I'm done tuning a piano. Tried to make a recording to go off of. I've just never been happy with it, at least for one of them. There's a timing issue too. Where the piano is in tune and I have the time to do it. Then I can get it done. But I have thought of doing that. Some of my favorite songs from when I was a teenager or whatever. My brother was always trying to figure out what kind of songs I like. What would I listen to? And as I was, still in elementary school, I couldn't really answer him. I didn't know. I was just always trying to figure out how to play Sonic songs on the piano or whatever. So I just like listening to songs from video games. But one year when he came home from college, he said, I've got my computer, it's got a lot of music on it. Just take some time and listen through it, see what you like, and whatever you like, I'll burn a CD of them. It was back in that time where we burned CDs. Oops. Come on, where are you? There. And he found, looking at my choices of music that I had sampled from him, that I have an affinity for 80s music. I mean, that was a lot of what he had. He had a lot of 80s stuff, classic rock or whatever, and some punk rock. So 80s was one thing, but also 70s. He didn't have any 70s on his computer, but I've since learned that I was a big fan of 70s. Like, I like disco. I like disco, that kind of dancey music. Oops, I knew I was forgetting something. I like those 70s ballads. Things that feel really musically satisfying to me. So, some of the
solo covers that I was thinking of doing would be one of those. I mean, yeah, I guess I could use my keyboard to do it because then I could do it whenever and it wouldn't have to be in tune. And wait a minute. Am I doing right? Hang on, check my work. Okay, I'm getting myself backwards. What's going on? I'm getting myself backwards. Some of them I've made 8-bit arrangements on, tunes of mine that are my favorite. So if you look at my 8-bits, you'll know some of them, like Everybody Wants to Rule the World. That's one of them. Some of my other songs that I use for when I'm done tuning pianos is Mandy by Barry Manilow. Barry did a cover of, or a release of, a tune called I Just Want to Be the One in Your Life. And there are others who do that too, but his is my favorite. In fact, I'll give the answer away on one of my 8-bits. I did an 8-bit of, actually it was my very first video. It was an 8-bit arrangement of His World from Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, the game that's really badly put together because it was really rushed and it really wasn't finished. It's kind of a broken game, but the music, the theme music was like, wow. So that theme, I did that in 8-bit, and that was my first YouTube that I did. Why am I talking about that? 8-bit, His World. Oh, right, okay. So in that tune, His World, I layered in this song, I Just Want to Be the One in Your Life, when it gets to the second verse. And it's just kind of, loops in there, and the sort of in there is kind of like a little counter melody, but it's just a little there. So, okay, no, technically that wasn't my first video. It was like the second run around that I did of it. The one that I called the re-upload better quality. And at some point, probably kind of early on, I made it a practice and a fun little Easter egg of mine to hide an extra song in my 8-bit arrangements. And if you can hear it and identify it, then good for you, I guess. It's not like I can actually reward someone except for like pinning the comment or something like that. I don't even know if you could pin comments back then. It's like, how ridiculous. If you comment and we like yours, we'll pin ya. How ridiculous. Those guys are fun. They're kind of, from what I heard, they're like Dude Perfect, but they're Australian, so they're just fun to listen to. And they're Christians too, so that's neat. And I do, Sir Duke, that was an 8-bit I made. That was one of the tunes that I do on piano. I'm not going to do it here, or else it's probably going to demonetize the whole thing. And new one that I've learned, like last year or so, was Laughing in the Rain. I think I decided last year I wanted to learn that song because I heard it on the radio on the 70s station. And I was like, I love this song. And so I learned that for my piano tuning medley. And on there that somebody mentioned. And then if I feel like it, then I also put in my shortened version of a Clair de Lune by Claude Debussy. All right, let's see how we're sounding. I guess I should probably. If I hear any wobblies that are out of place. Sometimes getting those things to really stick is tough. So just try to clean the unisons a little. See, this side sounds okay, but this side, you hear that? So I want to try to clean that up. Just touching up the unisons. Yeah, I'll do that one. And usually it's like, it's one of them or the other that's doing it. Clean that one up. Yeah, that's the side. Maybe that one. Nope, wrong way. Yeah, I'll do that one. I tell you, the pianos that are really annoying to work on is the ones where you play and you twist and like nothing happens. Not because you're playing the wrong one or not because you're turning the wrong one, but because the string has just lost so much of its flexibility that it doesn't respond. And then you're like, you crank it so far before it finally goes one way or the other, and then it's impossible. It's really hard to tell where that's going to render. I have to feel like you really got to jackhammer those keys to really make it work. To get it to stay put. Otherwise, you think it's okay, but then you find out after a few whacks that, whoa, it's really far out. And it surprised me a couple times. Where I thought it was okay, and then it fell out, and I had to go back and do it again. But in this case, it's just that the pins are so tight that it can make it tricky to get it exact. Yeah, let me clean that C. That side. And at that point, it's really pretty good. All right, so now I'm going to go through. So at the first, I listened to all the chords to hear how it sounds. So now I'm going to do the same thing again and see how it sounds. THX effects. I don't even think they do THX effects anymore. It must have been a 90s thing. Good. For those of you who stuck to the end, I'll even give you the treat of playing the special stage song that somebody mentioned. So I'll do that one as a treat and a thank you and a good night. And I know I can do this one without getting copyright struck because I've already made a video of it. works. That's what I always say to them. It works. It works! I finally know something that works! Wrong movie. Yeah. It's fun. It's soothing. It's music for my own sake to do it that way, you know? So that's nice. Any last questions that you want to think of while I'm packing up? You can feel free to ask those, and I'll respond as best I can. Kira Tyrus, hey. Well, thank you. Well, there you go. There's your Sonic song for you. I've often had people say, can you just like stay all day and just play for me? They're home, like if they do office work at home or something like that. Or I actually tuned once for she was a CPA, yeah, certified public accountant, and she said, I can just have you tune while I've got my customers in. It'd be really great. So I'm just gonna get the desk put back on here. At least I think it's called a desk. It's the thing you put the music on anyway. Some piano makers, they make these come on really easily and or on and off really easy, and some of them you really gotta finagle with it. Okay. Well, I'm gonna call that good. So if you've been with me the whole time, thank you for watching. If you just popped in and out, glad that you made it. If you asked a question, thanks for asking. And yeah, so I'll do a recorded video of me tuning the other piano. It'll just be tuning and no talking, and who knows. The weird thing is that sometimes people really jump on the things that I totally didn't expect it to go on, or that sentence doesn't make sense. Some people really latched onto videos I didn't expect for them to be popular. Like I did the thing about the Sonic music, drowning music. That was just a music theory thing. I think it ended up being timed like around Halloween or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it did. I don't remember. But I did that, and that's like my second most viewed video ever. And it's like, wow, I really didn't expect that to take off so well. I did put a little bit more production effort behind it, a little bit of editing, but yeah. And my Pavarotti video that I did, totally did not expect that to be a big hit. At least the thing that makes me able to earn a few pennies a day now from this. That was just a thing. I was just watching people do Pavarotti reactions, and just seeing how emotional they got from it, and I was like, wow, that's real beautiful that they're being exposed to this music. And I remembered that there was that scene from that movie that I couldn't think of what it was, but I found where it was, of Matthew McConaughey reacting to what he's watching in the movie there, of different people from time periods, or his family or whatever, leaving him videos, and him just getting all weepy about it. And I remember people using that clip to react to other things, like Vader in the hallway was one thing that they did like that. And I thought, I could have fun with that. And so I put that together, thinking, oh, that's a fun little thing. I enjoyed that, just the editing of that. And yeah, people really liked it. And now, however many people in Italy think that my name is Matthew. Well, I'll just smile and let them. I mean, I say right in the thing in the description, I'm not Matthew. But oh well, it's okay. If they enjoy it, and that's fine, that's good. And if it makes me a couple pennies a day, well, not that video, but then it allowed me to monetize. So blessings come from where you don't expect it. The Lord is gracious. So anyway, thank you again for hanging out with me, and I hope this was enjoyable. Maybe you learned a couple things, or just enjoyed hearing my rambling. But I'm gonna go ahead and stop now because I don't even know what time it is, but it's probably late, and I'm gonna go to bed. So we'll see ya. May the force be with you.